kind of the rules tonight are, we're going to have each candidate, 4-minute opening, to say anything about themselves that they want the voters to know. Then we have some questions, which will give you 3 minutes to answer, up to 3 minutes. One of the timekeepers will let you know, and then you'll have a closing, about a 3-minute closing. We'll have the audience be able to ask some questions also. I'm going to ask that nothing gets personal, and you basically ask them questions about how and what they're going to do, and try to stay off any issues that are controversial, that would be naming people and accusing people of things. We'll try to make sure that doesn't happen. So we will let the current incumbent, Jacob Susi, we'll let you start. You got 3 or 4 minutes, an open statement about yourself. And
awesome, thank you. I'm Jacob Susi. I lived in Chelsea for 38 years, my entire life. I grew up playing sports in this town, hanging out with friends across town, children. Once I graduated from Chelsea School, went to Erskine Academy, and then started working for my father. I enjoy this town. I want our kids to have the same opportunity that I had growing up. I enjoy hunting, fishing, being outdoors, gardening. Spending time with my family is more important. And basically just being a good family person, being supportive of my family.
then we have Michael Lunlin.
Correct.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm Michael Dunlin. I've lived in Chelsea for roughly 18 years. My children went to school here, and I did not. I graduated Brunswick High School. I was an airline pilot. I stopped flying for my son, who has multiple disabilities. I became his caregiver. I was also a turnaround manager for companies, especially restaurants. So restaurants that were losing a lot of money, I turned them around and made them more money. I opened up the Red Robin restaurant here, and I am the business manager for my wife's business. She's a chiropractor in Hollowell. I'm also the state representative for here. And I am also a big family man. Like I said, I'm still the caregiver for my son. So that's a brief history.
So I have 5 questions here that are given to me to ask, and then we'll let people in the audience ask questions after that. We'll start going back to you, Michael. To answer this one first. What motivated you to run for the Chelsea Selectboard, and what experience or skills do you believe make you a strong candidate to serve the community?
Okay. What motivated me to run is people came up to me and said that that there was an individual who was concerned that the town had issues, maybe leaning towards the same corruption that we've had in the past. So I decided that with my experience, I've also been the chair of the planning board here. I've also been on the school board, and being a turnaround manager, I thought I'd take on the task of coming in and seeing if any of those complaints are true. So what motivated me is simple. The only way for me to know, as a state representative, I usually stay out of local issues. The only time I get involved is when I have to. For instance, a few years ago, there was a complaint against one of the select board members, and And I told the person I don't get involved with local issues, but the complaint was the fact that that person was using their authority to bully the person, one of our constituents. So then I got involved and I investigated. And in my investigation, I did exactly what the constituent asked me to do. And in my investigation, I found that the constituent was in error and that the select board member was on the up and up. So that type of experience is what I'm bringing here. And that's what I'm capable of doing. So I just want to get on the inside to see what's going on and to see if I can use my management experience to make this the town everybody wants it to be.
Thank you. Good?
So I lived in this town for 38 years. Just want to give back to my community as much as people did when I was growing up. Somebody has the disposition, it's not for everybody. I've grown quite a connection with a lot of residents in this town. A lot of respect, our family's well known. And just when people have a question or concern in town, they can reach out and they know that I'm gonna give them an answer and it's gonna happen quick. I don't have time to put things off and forget about it. So when somebody asks a question or concern or problem, they reach out, I address it. And if I don't have an answer, I have a lot of resources. I can get you an answer quick. And I feel that just is a huge advantage to the town, having somebody that they can reach out to at all hours of the day. I mean, the guy called me at 5:30 Sunday night. It's the job. I enjoy it. I like giving back to my community. Just having, those resources and the common sense that I have, I think it's a huge advantage for this town. I'm gonna give my time back and do what I can to help the town.
Thank you. The second question, what do you see as the biggest challenge or challenges currently facing the town of Chelsea? How would you want to address them if elected?
Obviously taxes, that's the biggest thing in this town. Everything in the world's going up, everything, we all know, you go to the grocery store, we do anything, it costs you way more than it should. I just feel like our board could do more during budget time to really work on certain items to try and cut these things down. We have meetings once a month, and I feel at certain times here it should be every 2 weeks because that 2 or 3 hours could be used to an advantage. And it's a big advantage, I feel. You can really diagnose something, tear it down, and, take, because the sun comes in high on this end, and you can't just keep going high, high, high. Something has to balance out. I feel as a board, if we did more, spend more time on things, it would definitely benefit. I mean, just for example, the administration wages and expenses in 23 have gone up $171,000. That's a lot of money. Short time frame. When does this stop? Is there a plan? We have to work better as a board and really dive into some of these issues and try fighting them back and slowing them down because there's no end game right now here. So just trying to keep grasp of, taxes going up to the roof. It's got to slow down. We got to find a way to slow it down and work together better. And people in the town that are either 18 coming out of school or seniors, it's nearly impossible for them. And we gotta find a way to slow it down. I think as a board, coming together more and working more hours on it, rather than just on regular meeting stuff, would be big dividends for this town.
Thank you. I agree with Kate. Taxes are a big issue everywhere. And that's where my management skills would come in. I have worked with many budgets. I've worked with the state budget. I've worked with my business budget. And like I said, I was a turnaround manager. The only way I can turn around a restaurant that's taking in $1 million and losing 10 grand a year is being a great manager, knowing where we can make changes to cut the fat without hurting the people. But I also think this also think some of the new laws that have been passed in the legislature, have hurt our towns. I'm gonna continue to try to change those. The school cost is huge, and it needs to be worked on. I have ways to help that. And training in our staff. I was surprised to hear the other day, talking to the manager and staff, that we don't have certain training programs, and they're not allowed to go get those training programs. Well, they need them. As a business manager, I know how important training is. If our people are experts and they know how to deal with people, this town's gonna grow. But I also have a friend who works in the state, in the Department of Economic and Community Development, Michael Duguay, and I would work closely with him. He is an expert at town growth. He worked for the city of Augusta, now he works for the state. And I would work closely with him and the people of Chelsea, and we need to support our businesses. I don't think we do it well enough. We need to promote new businesses other than cannabis, and that will help grow our town. Without growing our town, we're not gonna help the school budget because we won't have any kids. We need more kids in the school, and like I said, we need to stop a couple of the state regulations that just came in. So these are the things that I would do. My skill level is, like I said, in management. That is what's gonna change the board, and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna help run this town as a business, because that's what it is. Thank you.
On the door number 3 we have, it kind of fits into what you both of you gentlemen were talking about. How would you balance maintaining town services while being mindful of the impact taxes and spending have on residents? And Michael, you're starting.
Okay. Well, it's kind of hard for me to answer that before I get elected and look under the hood. So, even though I have ideas, those ideas may or may not work. It's like when you elect a mayor or a governor. These people make all these promises, and you wonder why after they're elected they don't keep their promises. And you think, wow, that person's a scoundrel, they promised us all this and they didn't do it. Well, there's a reason why they didn't. It's because they can't. And they don't know they can't until they take the job over. So the only way for me to properly answer that question, I can give you solutions and answers, but I don't really know if it'll fit for Chelsea, because I have to be in the position and then sit down with the manager and the other select board members, look under the hood, and then I'll be able to properly address the situations that are at hand. I'll also listen to constituents. I have a reputation for the last 6 years, there is not one constituent that's ever gotten in touch with me, unless I missed their email, that I didn't get back to right away. And I try to solve all their problems. And like Jake said, I will go above and beyond. If I don't have the answer, I will get it for you, or I'll send you to the person who does have the answers. I don't have all the answers, but I have a lot of friends that do. And I will bring those friends to the table, because the important thing is making Chelsea the right place to live for everyone. I'm not gonna make everybody happy, that's impossible. But I'll meet you somewhere. I can work with anybody, and I've proven that over the years.
Well, similar to the first question, reaching out to residents and, hearing their true concerns, especially the last few months, I've learned a lot from what they've them trying to survive is hard, especially being a senior. You're a big amount of money, that's it. You're not going back to work, it's over. So, trying to keep things at a dull roar, stop the bleeding is my goal 100%. And getting the board on the same page sometimes can be difficult. But we need to work harder and better and really sit down and try to crack this stack, because it's just not, you can't keep one up and up and up. There's no light in the tunnel. It's gotta balance out. And just keeping that mindset, you know, these increases are kind of hurting people at the end of the day, and it's not right, it's not fair. And especially the seniors, they work their whole life, and all of a sudden now they're getting hammered on. It's not fair to them. So just keeping that in mind and really working harder as a board and moving forward.
Thank you. Number 4, is communication and transparency important in local government? How would you keep residents informed and encourage community involvement in town decisions?
Yes, communication is huge. Being transparent is very big. It doesn't always happen, it needs to happen more. People don't want to come to these meetings, and I get it. You know, they work all day, they work hard, they get home to watch the news, they can't see the government, they die up. I don't blame them one bit. I said it earlier, it's not for everybody. You just keep them involved. When you see them at the store, they call you, they stop by the house, ask questions, you keep them involved. That's how keeping that, they've been involved now. Not everybody comes to these meetings, they make phone calls, they ask questions, and you tell them, this is what's going on, and they'll answer questions, they'll ask you more questions. And the days of people going to these meetings, I think are over, unless there's a bad thing happening, unfortunately. And I feel I'm fine with people reaching out to me and asking questions, because they're getting the answers. And rather than not calling at all, sitting home and dwelling and being upset that we're putting the boots to them and they hate everybody, and at least they call, make the effort, they stop by. Sometimes it's late in the evening, but it is what it is. That's what I have to do. So just, you know, keeping that going in the loop best you can, and doing the best you can for the taxpayers. My always kind of goal.
Yeah, communication is key. I'm already doing that, and I will make sure that everybody knows how to contact me. My phone number and email is already available to every single one of you. You're already my constituents, and the state of Maine's not like other states. My phone number and email, all my information is out there for everyone. Everybody should know already that I have an open door policy. If you have an issue, call me, email me. I don't care how big or small it is, I respond to it. I always have and always will. But that's the way. No, people, I've been to some of these meetings, and there's not a lot of participants. It's the same few people. However, I will also make sure that if I'm elected, in the mailer that the town sends out, I'll make sure that my information, even though it's already plastered everywhere, is available to everyone. And I'll make sure that it's in there that I'm available at all times for every issue. And with the experience that I have, I'm gonna be able to solve your problems. And my experience level is what this town needs. They need an experienced manager, an experienced person who has worked in this town. Like I said, I've been on the planning board, I've been on the school board, so I know a lot of what's going on, and I pay attention to what's going on in this town in my current position more than people think I do. So that's how I'll keep the communication open. My email, my phone number, I'll be 100% available.
Okay. The last question I have here before we ask everybody, all the residents, to come up with questions if they like. Looking ahead over the next few years, what are your priorities and goals for the future of Chelsea?
Me?
Yes.
Okay. my goal, of course, is to come in and do what I can to keep the taxes where they are or lower them. It's that simple. I'm gonna look at the school budget also and work with them to see if we can make changes there without the kids losing out. I never want children to lose out on any of their growth in the school. And like I said, training. I think we have to make sure that our staff is trained. I think there's a lot of opportunity for growth. You know, we don't have a lot of businesses. We don't have we have one store on the outskirt of town. We don't have these businesses here, and I think if we did, and we don't promote businesses, and I don't think it's Chelsea's fault because Maine's not great at promoting businesses either. The biggest complaint I get from the business owners is that there's always a chokehold on them. No matter what they try to do, there's too much regulation. And I think that's unfair. We need to take care of our business owners, and I'm gonna do the best I can if I'm elected to take care of that. I'm already trying in my current position, but there's definitely a need for growth. Because Chelsea has to grow. Now, some people wanna keep it a small town, but if we do, that's all we're gonna stay, because this is a small town, and you're gonna keep having high costs. We need people to want to live here and move here. And I don't mean the new law that we passed that you can put, 3 houses on an acre lot. I'm talking about just trying to keep the old 2-acre lot size if we can, and still stay within the state law, but building more homes and bringing more people here, and possibly bringing some businesses in. That's it. Small set. Thank you.
Mostly just continuing to keep Chelsea's best interests at heart, every decision I make. It's, has its moments for sure, but just doing the best we can to the taxpayer. Foundation's great, and everything's go great. Also, I want to spend more time at the school board meetings, get more involved over there, been to a few. Just make some time to really get a grasp of what's going on over there, and bring some of that information back to the board if we're elected, and, kind of, see the different vision that we don't always see if we're not over there. I think it will pay dividends, and even on my personal end, it will help me see how it, runs over there. I do a few meetings, and they're long, and you just gotta make the time, and I'm going to do that, and see what we can come up with over there.
Thank you, Bill. So, now, it's your turn. You have a question? Yes, sir.
For both candidates, just a question that we can both answer. Can you tell me the number of people in this town, and tell me how many of those people you've known and actually talked to in whatever association you have in town?
Yeah, sure. I'm not sure the number, I'd say around 2,200, I'm 100% sure. All right, whatever.
You grew up for 38 years in this town.
Right.
How many people have you actually met and talked to?
In this town?
Yes.
For the last 38 years?
This town only?
Don't forget, he is only 38, so
Right.
he's a baby and whatever.
That's right.
I'll be about
I would say thousands of people over the last 38 years.
I want a number.
I can't give you a number, that totally thousands.
You've met all 2,000?
I think he said thousands.
38 people die, people move into town, it's,
Wow.
that's how it works.
Okay, Mike?
I'm spitballing, but there's about 2,700 people, almost 2,800 now in Chelsea. We're getting close to 2,800. And I have talked to at least 2,000 of them. One, because every 2 years, including starting now, I knock on every door,
was flabbergasted to meet you at my door, a year and a half ago.
Yep, nope, I've knocked on every door, so in the 6 years, I might have met all 2,700.
Thank you. Somebody else? Yep, right in the back.
This question is very near and dear to me. If elected, and this is for both of you, if elected, what are your plans in supporting and improving community events, recreation, and programs to support all ages?
Yeah, we do a lot as it down our as it is, and it's a huge success, people get involved, it's great to see people active in the town. Continuing that is obviously a huge benefit to get people involved in town, get them to see their neighbors, talk to neighbors they don't see every day. And continuing that through is always gonna grow and spiral, hopefully into something that's gonna keep growing, especially with the summer barbecue and whatnot, in the second year this year, hopefully that doubles in size would be great, and then continue to grow. Be nice.
Thank you.
It's an interesting question.
Well, this is me now.
Yep, no, yeah, it's nice that we have the barbecues and stuff. Unfortunately, I don't see a lot of people showing up at them. So, I'd have to come up with some ideas. I would sit down with people and find out how or what we could do that's more in line with their interests. Because if we have a barbecue and even only 100 people show up and we have almost 2,800 people in the town, then maybe we're doing it at the wrong time, the wrong idea. So I would prefer to maybe ask the people, send out a mailer, ask them what they want, what type of recreational ideas, and what kind of activities, so that we can get a bigger turnout. And so I'd look to the people and find out what they want. Because I just haven't seen a huge turnout at these events, and I don't think it's because of the lack of trying, because the effort that was put out at the last one was phenomenal. I mean, wow. My hat's off to the staff. I was blown away at what I saw. I was just kind of shocked at the low turnout. So I would look to the town and find out how we can make changes to get a bigger turnout. And then I know the staff, I've seen them perform, so I know all of you could come up with whatever program they want. But I think we need to look into that.
One of the barbecues was on land that had just been flooded 2 weeks before. So there were-
Right, and that's a problem, so.
Somebody else, yes.
What role do you think residents should play in the town decision-making, and how would you make their voices heard?
In any big decision-making, like, you know, I'm the president of an association with 100 homes on Sebago Lake, and on big decisions, the town should play every role, okay? But on the small decisions, if they don't come to the meeting, then you have to rely on your board. And you have to trust your board. That's why you have to be very careful who you elect on the board. It's unfortunate that a lot of people don't. If you were to ask how many, remember, I've been a state representative for 6 years here. Ask how many Chelsea people know that I'm their state representative. Even though I've knocked on their door. This lady just said I've never knocked on her door. I bet you I have, but I might have left a mailer or whatever. But the point being, a lot of people don't want to be involved. The ones that do, and you can't motivate them to be involved. You just can't. I've tried. So the people should be involved if they want to be, in the big decision making. But in the small decision making, that's what the select board's for, and you have to trust them. And that's why you have to be careful who you elect. You have to elect somebody with the experience level to be able to have your concerns in mind, that's going to make this a better place to live. And that's important.
The townspeople always say they vote, they want you put in, trust them with decisions to better the town. The big decisions, if it's real big, it's voted on, and that's how it rolls out. Smaller stuff, obviously, it decides on the board, and the board makes the decisions, and they vote on it, and they move forward with it. And it's always the best use of the taxpayer, and we move forward with that.
Do I get follow-ups?
Depends.
I just wanna go back to the beginning, when Mike, you were talking about perceived problem, and that's what's getting you involved. You don't have to be on the board to look under the hood. There's other ways to be involved, like coming to meetings. Some of the things you described sounded more that if you were the town manager, would be able to put in effect. So my issue here is that I've watched the incumbent for 3 years. I know what they're trying to do to keep control of the taxes and be transparent, but he's only one vote. So some of the things that you described to bring thought would fit more in a managerial role. So I'm a little confused of what job you're getting done. Because that's on your campaign side. So what is the job that you want to get done in this town?
The job is to come in and bring my managerial experience and present that I have worked very closely with others. So even though I'm only one vote, like I told you, I have seen where it's always 2 against 1. And that shouldn't happen. It shouldn't always be 2 against 1. And I've heard this for years here at many meetings, years on back, that the biggest complaint is it's always 2 against 1. I don't even understand that, because I know how to work with people. I know how to reach across and communicate and meet people in the middle. And that's what I would do. So it doesn't have to be 2 to 1. Because you have to know how to negotiate, how to work with people, how to communicate your opinions with theirs and meet in the middle. And that's what you have to do. And I've done it for years. I work with some of the hardest lying people on the planet, but I meet them in the middle. And I get the job done. That's how you do it. You bring the right ideas. If you have the right ideas, no matter how strong-willed the people are that sit next to you, they'll meet you somewhere. Because your ideas are too strong, they're too good. And the same thing with theirs. They bring me strong ideas, I'll change my mind all day. And if I won't change my mind, we're gonna meet somewhere. It doesn't always have to be 2 to 1. Sometimes that 2 to 1's to your advantage.
Follow-up? My question was to Mike.
Oh, just Mike?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I just wanted to follow-up.
Yep.
No follow-up?
Well, then, yeah, go ahead, why don't you follow up? Right.
That works well at the select board table, where you get into an agreement. But what happens after the meeting is where the problem is. So big issues get voted on at town meeting, and all of a sudden, board members change their mind. So all the negotiations in the world up front may work, but it doesn't have a lasting effect.
It can.
Thank you.
Good. Yeah.
I know you both talked about your experience, can you both tell me what your level of education is?
I went to high school for 4 years and I went to community college for 1 year.
And I went to high school and then 4 years of college, 5 years of college,
And what?
in aerospace engineering.
Yes, so we're on.
What would Chelsea residents, why would Chelsea residents vote for you? And what differences, I can read my own note, and, what makes your approach or vision better than your opponents?
Well, like I said, I lived in town my entire life, bring a lot of common sense to the table, pretty intelligent. And the resources I have, that definitely was a huge factor in that. Just continuing to focus on the job at hand, make sure the business is being run properly, and if not, hold people accountable. The world without accountability, that's where, if people are held accountable, things will straighten out, and you get more out of your money at the end of the day.
There were many parts to your question.
Um,
I don't remember the ending of your question. What was the last part? You wanted to know what experiences we're bringing. I told you that already.
Yeah, and how your vision, basically,
Right, my vision,
is how, is the main difference between your vision and his vision and what you would accomplish.
I don't know what Jake's vision is for the future, so I can't tell you the difference. My vision is to just make this town office work at the highest capacity it can. Rather than fight with people, I work with people. If I have a problem with Christine, I am going to deal with Christine, and we are going to work together. I'm not gonna fight with her. If I have a problem with the staff, I'm gonna go to Christine and I'm gonna address it with her. If we don't work, okay, if the select board doesn't work well with the team, then we're a failure. Doesn't matter how talented any of us are, we're a failure. That's where management skills come in. I have that, been doing it for years. Every business I've run has been successful. That's why I'm able to turn places around, because I know how to work with people, and I know how to make this place run. The school board, I've been on it. I know how it works. I don't have to go and find out how it works, I know how it works. I know the people there still, and I've worked with them before. I'll give you an example. When I was on the school board, we had 2 other Chelsea members on the school board. They wanted to start a little committee to decide what they're gonna do about this property, because the school board owns this property. Nobody volunteered to be on that committee from Chelsea. I couldn't believe it. Well, I immediately volunteered, even though I didn't really have the time to do it. I volunteered to be on it, because somebody had to protect the interest of Chelsea. I went there. When I got there, they ganged up on me right away. They wanted to charge Chelsea $25,000 for a building we already own, that we gave to them. I said, no way. We're not giving paying you a penny. I negotiated with them. And I won. Not because I bullied them, I negotiated. And I won. But this is because of my management skills, because I have the foresight to see a problem before it's a problem. That's what a great manager does. They don't fix problems. They see them before they become problems, and they fix them. That's the skill I have. That's what I'm gonna bring to the table. And we are gonna work as a team here if I'm elected. Every one of us. And we're gonna have fun. This isn't not about work, it's about having fun at work and getting the job done.
Anybody who hasn't asked a question?
Going back, for the both of you, going back to getting economic growth in this town, bringing businesses in. My experience, nearly 30 years' experience being on the select board at Chelsea, planning board, and the school board, has told me businesses want to know what the rules are before they come in. So how do you feel we are with our ordinances? Because businesses don't want to come in and all of a sudden someone says, oh, we don't want that, we're gonna slap a 6-month moratorium on them until we figure things out. They want to know the rules ahead of time. Years ago, when I was on the board, we had an opportunity where the Hive is right now, to have Kennebec County put a facility there. So we would have had 24-hour sheriff coverage, and they would have had people with OEYs or cashing bad checks stay there as an extension from the Kennebec County Jail. And the town just, we didn't have anything to fight with. So where do you both stand on ordinances for this town?
I think they're stern where they're at. It's anybody that's successful business is always trying to be one step ahead. And for instance, some of these storage units, some of these towns, they don't worth anything and they just slam them in, or the marijuana, whatever the situation is, they're one step ahead of the curve. So putting across in our planning board and knowing that they're being proactive and, staying up to date with what's going on in the world, and it's huge. It's a positive factor for sure. We need growth in this town, and if a business is gonna come to town, they wanna know what the taxes are gonna be. And if they're extremely high, they're not gonna come. I understand that. And that's what the whole factor of working as a solid board and trying to chew some of this up is gonna pay dividends, Keeping everybody in the loop and working together is honestly the only way to move forward. Our planning they work great. We have finally a full board and things that are happening right now. So just knowing that they're working hard it makes me feel better and keeping the town way track.
It is the number one obstacle, and I mentioned that at the beginning. We have a chokehold on businesses in this state. I am working hard, and I will continue to work hard to change the laws of the state so that the chokehold goes away. The same with the town. We have to have certain ordinances in place, but we can't have restrictive ordinances that choke businesses. And I have spoken to the planning board about that. I've talked to Joel, and it is a problem. But there are ways around it. To show you how I've worked in a situation like that and the experience level that I have, just recently, a gentleman got a hold of me who was trying to put in, now keep in mind, I work up here. But because there's a lot of people in this state that know that I'm the man to go to if you need something done and done quickly, a gentleman called me who was trying to put in a Starbucks in Wells. And he was getting the runaround by the DEP. So I made a phone call, and that runaround ended immediately. Then, of course, the town, the planning board of Wells was giving this guy the runaround also. I made a phone call to the select board, and I got that resolved. This man had, it was June, if they didn't break ground in July, it was over, Starbucks was walking. If he hadn't called me, he would have lost out on $800,000. And the deal was gone. But he knew to call me, he knew the experience I have, and I got it taken care of on the state level and on the local level. Why? I didn't bully anybody. No. I just knew what I was talking about, I negotiated, and I got it resolved. And it was resolved, the whole thing, within 3 days. So, yes, there's problems, and you know there's problems. A lot of them can be resolved. The first thing we gotta do is get businesses interested in coming here. And like I said, that's something I'm gonna work on the state level with Mike DeGay, and and I've already started talking to him, to get businesses interested. That's key. Then we can work on not killing them through regulation.
Follow up?
Yes, go ahead.
You wanna move into my house, Rick?
Your follow-up?
Yeah, I do, because I thought this was to meet the candidate, to know what,
I see,
who to
go ahead.
vote for, okay?
Go ahead.
While I'm just trying to determine the body language. Follow-up being is, how do you do that and protect the citizens of the town so they don't have a business that intrudes on their property?
As a select board member, I don't know of any select board member on the planet that would allow that. I also don't know any planning board in the world that would do that.
But you said lift regulations. we
No,
have a
what I
trans-
said
So what do you mean
was-
like chokehold we have here? What's the chokehold?
I didn't say we do. If we do, there are state chokeholds, not town chokeholds. There are state ones. And if you'd like for me to list them after the meeting, I'll be glad to.
No, I know what they are.
Okay.
I just didn't understand what you meant about.
No, not the town of
chokeholds
Chelsea.
here,
The
'cause
town
we
of
don't.
Chelsea's doing very well. And they're not restricting people. I'll tell everybody a mistake I made on the planning board as the chair of the planning board. I authorized the first solar farm in Chelsea. Biggest mistake.
Yeah.
The biggest mistake I ever made in my life.
Nobody knew.
But I had no reason to stop them, so I couldn't. And then I put a bill in and it passed, so that the solar farms have to be, recycled. So, I mean, I'm not a perfect human being. I made a mistake.
Nobody knew that. It was a bad thing.
Which one are you talking about
The one by my house,
down there?
that was the first one.
What's his face, his place? He was down in
He,
Kansas, so he wanted money for his wife.
he
that's all.
corrected, he is gone.
Okay, so,
He passed away.
Do you have a question?
yeah, who dictates solar farms, potholes, pot farms, cannabis, how many are we gonna have? And who dictates, okay, like Route 9, near the, where my Uncle Kenneth's farmhouse used to be, it's all cleared up now, near the storage units.
Yeah.
I called them up one day and they said they're putting some kind of business in there for construction workers or some kind of stuff or whatever. Who authorizes that?
Depends
Don't you
which-
have to come through here in order to?
If it's in
put a
Chelsea,
business?
yeah. Yep.
Then why did they say they're putting something up there with buildings so that people can drop off their construction? I don't know, some kind of crap that they
No.
already know about, they're doing.
No,
will
the
be doing.
planning board and the select board.
You know about that?
I
What is it gonna be?
believe it's gonna be a climate control surgery, I believe,
Climate control who?
Storage unit.
60 by 100.
So who's, authorizing that?
Right, right.
Who?
Greg
Greg
and,
writes a permit out for it, and,
Greg?
right.
As long as it meets ordinances,
Right.
it's allowed.
Alright, so, okay, I was 12 years old when we moved here, to my father and mother's house. And I only was here for 7 years, they got married, lot. A whole hollow road with nothing. One house. Now you got 5 developments, 4 or 5 developments. And then you guys want businesses in it. This is the countryside, this is the country, move out of the city to live in the country, not have a Walmart maybe, or more pot places, or more whatever. Why?
And, what I'd like to, if you have a question, that's what statement.
Now, this is a question, why?
People own property, they can essentially, as long as it's an ordinance, they can do what they gotta do with it. So I have a lot of control. Somebody owns the land, they wanna put in a housing development, and as long as it passes through, they can do that. They wanna put in a storage unit, they can put a storage unit, they own the property. I understand the whole country, I understand, but we're close to Augusta, and people have migrated up here, we're close to the city. And having the country living is great, I understand, but
Okay, and then another thing, news needs to go out a little bit better, because that Smith Road, that damn solar farm down there, that, I had no clue, you know, and it's like, when they were building it, I could hear it at my place at 5:15 in the morning, and they said, I couldn't hear it, I'm up here, they're down there.
All right, I'm gonna, let me, because we need that, this is more for a board meeting than it is for candidates.
Oh,
So come
well, I
on,
just
board
wanna know
meeting.
how you feel about all these things coming in.
Well, let me go to this gentleman here.
Well, almost none of the questions that have come up so far have related to tax-related issues, where people are not overtaxed in this town, but nothing ever gets done. There's no place to eat in town. And yet, at the same time, there's a lot of food trucks that pass through this town and would like to stop here and sell food to people, but there's no place to stop. There's no water connection, there's no electric connection, there's no place to put a porta potty so that a food truck could stop and sell food to people, even on a temporary basis, and pay into possibly a town providing something, not to do with taxes, but just, it's available with minimum maintenance, and I'm sure it would pay off.
Right, if you got town property in the main drag, yeah, probably would. Unless some resident wants to donate his property to do that, they don't know what to do.
There was a food truck that had a place for only a month or two up at the road between Windsor and Togus, and then they built a big fence around it, and he didn't come anymore.
It would be great to have a spot, you know.
They certainly could have negotiated that.
Thank you. Do you have any other questions for the candidates related to your
One final question.
service?
Yes, no, I came prepared, but I didn't know we were gonna have 5 questions ahead of time. So, it's easy to point to the schools as being the problem for our tax bills. But would either of you be surprised to know that the municipal budget in the past 5 years has gone up 44%? And the school has only gone up 27%?
yes, but regardless of that, is that a concern? Yes. However, 75% is the school.
55%.
75
55.
is the
Is the
school.
school.
55.
Can you say that again?
It's 70 something.
What
is food
55%.
taxes?
Christine, how much?
The proposed budget as it stands would be 74 cents, excuse me, on a dollar.
I would like to see the math.
Thank you.
I would like to see the math.
The school part of the taxes is 72% or something like that, no? Oh, our real estate taxes.
Last year, I think it was
77-something.
Right. It's gone up.
Do you add the revenues before you figure it out, or just worry about what was appropriated? There's three numbers that drive the budget: town, school, and county.
Count.
Correct. You worry about, this is the money you're asking for to run the town. The revenue is gonna come from revenue sharing, excise tax, and property tax, okay? You put that aside, you take those three numbers, the school portion is 55% of the ask.
Christine?
This,
It doesn't matter.
I'm not gonna answer on
This would be
Right.
a select board meeting.
Correct.
This would be a
That's not what
select
this
board
is
meeting.
for. Right.
In this conversation.
Well, no, I'm asking about the increase in the town budget over the past 5 years, it's 44%. Do you find, either one of you find that alarming?
Oh, absolutely, I mean, it's, I said earlier that it's the $171,000 in the office expenses and legal unit, that's just one item.
Right.
Break down 4 or 5, there's your increase, you know, not just waving it through, everyone gets a raise, everyone gets another job. At some point, it's gonna balance out in the plan, right now, it's going right through the roof. So, stopping bleeding is 110, needs to be done.
Any other questions? So one of the things, I'm gonna ask you a general question, because I think they're important. What are your roles, what do you consider your roles as elected select board members with appointed members, public works and office staff?
I would say just overseeing, making sure, everyone's showing up to work and doing their job, and listening to residents that come to the building and hearing their feedback and their experience here, and make sure people have accountable if they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing.
And how do you determine whether they come to work on time and all that? How do you, what's the process you go through to get that information?
And that's just, or come to the office and knows that people haven't been there, you know, once a, like 3 days a week for a month and a half, or what's the time limit?
You have some experience because you're in the legislature and the same thing, so.
Yeah, just, you're an overseer, and it's like being the CEO of a business. You don't micromanage, but you can still have an overview of what's going on. If you don't, then there's a problem. But the key is having good management people and good staff so that you don't have to micromanage.
Good answer, so, yeah, it's like, one of the biggest issues I have when I'm doing consulting is that relationship, and not everybody understands that, and it's very familiar with the two of you groups. Yes, ma'am?
As managers of your designated line of work, how important is it to invest in your staff? What return on investment do you feel you get for investing in staff?
Yeah, I mean, training and everything, and make sure they have everything they can to succeed. I mean, they come to work and they're not sure about things, not getting out training, and making sure they're up to speed on everything is definitely gonna benefit the town. Hey, when they're coming in to somebody faster, and either getting proper business done, and not gonna have issues, problems with the person needed to actually do that. So, keeping up to speed and investing in that is 100% worth it.
And I already told you that, I was surprised that there wasn't more training here. I was shocked when I talked to the town manager to find out that people were being denied the opportunity to get certain training. You don't wanna spend a fortune training people, but a lot of it you can get money back from, like the state. And if you don't utilize that, then we're foolish up here. And so as a select board member, I would make sure that investing in our team to make sure that they have the skills they need to do their job above and beyond, it's priceless. And I was surprised to hear that some of that was turned down and that there were select members that opposed it. It blew my mind. 2 weeks of training down in, Baltimore area. But it's crazy how much training. When I worked for the Westin Hotel, they used the training for Disney. Disney and McDonald's probably has the best corporate training on the planet. Why? But you go to these places, good ones, and the ones that follow the rules. When I was a turnaround manager, one of the places I turned around, believe it or not, this was years ago, was Pizza Huts. And the owner owned 93 Pizza Huts. And he wanted to know what my secret was. And I said, there is no secret. I said, Pizza Hut spends millions of dollars perfecting their production. All I do is follow their plan. I don't have to do a damn thing. Here's the book, follow it. And I became successful. Because they gave me the plan. And that's through training. And that is so important. If we want to become a great town, that's how we advance.
I just have one follow-up question. How many, roughly how many people have you both managed at one time?
I work for myself, so
The most I've ever managed is 1,000 people. Ballpark.
All right, we're at that 7 o'clock hour, which will be about 1 hour. I'm gonna ask for closing statements. See, Jacob, you went first at the beginning, so. Well, Michael will go first with his closing statement.
I don't have a huge closing statement. Everything that needs to be said was said. I'm hoping that the people of Chelsea choose me for what I've already done for them and for my vast experience and knowledge as a legislator, and I already have the experience to do this job. Been doing that for 6 years on a higher level, and as a manager of 30 years with unbelievable training, I have the skill level to make anything better, and I know how to work with people. It's not about me and my ideas, it's about the people of Chelsea and their ideas. And that skill level is what I want to bring to the table, the experience.
Thank you.
mostly just continue to keep this, all decision made from my heart, the residents of this town, and continue to grow, and I wanna see this town be what it was when I was a kid, continue to be what it was when I was a kid. All the kids coming up through, holding people accountable is a big deal to me, and like I said earlier, if you hold people accountable, things will straighten out from here. It's a lot of work at times, and it's not. It's has its ups and its downs, and I appreciate what I've learned in here. Re-elected, I'll continue to use common sense and accountability leadership to put the town in the right direction.
Well, thank both you gentlemen, very, very nice presentations here tonight. You kept it all civil, and congratulations to all the citizens who came out to participate in government this evening. So we will close the candidates night. I'm sure the candidates are gonna be here afterwards if you have any one-on-one questions, so, thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.
Hey, good job.
Yeah, wonder why it's rolling back. It's still hot. Come down, yeah. Wow.
Do we have to stuff something in there?
They're gonna
I know, right there.
Stranger, well, that.
Oh, yeah, hopefully.
Doesn't do any good.
I know.